Dragons, hear me out, appear in different sizes, shapes, forms, and colors in various mythologies around the world, and yet they still never fail to capture the imaginations of fellow adventurers, be it in awe, fear, or a bloody oath of vengeance to destroy every single of the white dragons that killed the village of my... You know the backstory, your rogue has it. Today is the last day of Monster Week, an event created by Ginny D and Point Hat to bring us all nerds together to nerd out about the same theme. And you can never guess the theme of this week.
It's dragons, bro. Can you like...
I was pointing at the book.
Oh, it's dragons. So in the spirit of Monster Week, today we're going to be talking about the Bulgarian Zmey dragon. I'm Lucas, and this beautiful man
Christo.
is Christo, and we're from Yellow Madhouse. We create D&D content based off of Slavic and Balkan folklore, hence why it makes sense to talk about one of the dragons of our home country.
Don't call it a dragon.
Okay,
it's not a dragon.
It's a Zmey.
This is the TLDR. Zmeys are, imagine, a dragon mixed with a powerful archfey together. So we have a draconic entity that is bound with elemental force and power, but can also shapeshift like metallic dragons into humanoid forms. And this is where it can get complicated, because they can shapeshift into belt buckles, they can take the shape of lightning or clouds or even a storm. In Bulgarian folklore, the Zmey has been depicted as a malevolent and a benevolent figure. Prevailing is the benevolent figure, surprisingly. The malevolent figure would be something that probably most people can recognize, the Western kind of archetype of dragon. The one that, do you remember when Christians came and said to all pagans, it's not cool to do what you're doing, and then they said, all those creatures that you like with the wings and fiery breaths, they're the devil. You get this in Bulgaria often, but more often than not, the Zmey is depicted as a guardian, a guide, and most importantly of all, they can be at the start of ancient bloodlines. Even to this day in Bulgaria, there are some people who believe that their family blood stems from way back in the day when Zmeys were real. So if the Zmey isn't the antagonist of the story, then who is the big bad?
In this part of the video, Lucas made a big mistake and forgot to turn on his microphone. Luckily, Lucas from the future is here to help. In Bulgarian folklore, there are two main draconic-like creatures which take the role of the antagonist. First, we've got the Hala. The Hala is a fiendish, demon-like draconic creature, which is the personification of hailstorms. The Hala brings destruction in its wake, completely destroying all crops. The Lamia, on the other side, is the monstrous personification of gluttony, still shown in stories attacking crops, but often they take whole villages and their sources of water as hostage, demanding a never-ending supply of sacrifices to soothe their never-ending hunger. Even today, in the Bulgarian language, there is two sayings related to these creatures. You've got passed through as a Hala, which literally means passed through and left chaos in its wake. You also have hungry like a lamia or eats like a lamia. As you can see, these creatures are still influencing our lives today through language. The Zmey, on the other hand, is a protector of the land, keeping Halas and lamias at bay. We can even notice this in the name of the creature itself. Zmey comes from the word for snake, Zmija in Bulgarian, or very similar in other Slavic languages.
Snake.
Zmija.
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 Zmej.
Vange. Zmija is something else. It's a viper.
Zmija in turn comes from the word for land, Zemya, highlighting that both the snake and the Zmey are creatures of the land.
This is why usually the layers of the Zmey are deep caves and caverns that go beneath the land to a place called the land beneath the land, Dolnata Zemya. This place is, can you imagine, as chaotic as the Feywild and filled with magic, but it's the Underdark. And usually in this place, you can have different villages, and each village has a king, Zmey, and a queen, Zmeica, which is the female counterpart of the Zmey. A temptress and a sorceress of immense power and serpentine charms. Which brings me to yet another interesting aspect of the Zmey, which is the tempter.
Wow. We're keeping this in the video.
The trope of marriage between a Zmey and a mortal is very prominent in fairy tales around Bulgaria. Therefore, you know, bees and butterflies, and I'm not going to give you the spiel, but there's many a hero to be known who have Zmey-like powers. Some of them would inherit superhuman strength, or others, my favorite kind, would be the one with mystical powers, who would fall into a trance while the hailstorm of the Khala rushes towards the village, and their spirit will rush in the skies to meet the evil entity. How cool is that as a character? I don't even know what to ask my DM. Is that a sorcerer? Am I a warlock? What is that?
So how do we include the Zmey in our D&D campaign, you might ask? The Zmey is a very powerful tool for world building. To show you how powerful it is, I'll give you an example of real-life Bulgaria. There is a village called the Pirin village. Within this village, it is fabled that a Zmey used to live. Until today, there is a house that the people from the village say was built with the help of the Zmey's son, because of the massive boulders at the base of the house, which people say were carried with the Zmey's son's supernatural strength. There is also a local cave known as the Zmey's pit, where the Zmey is rumored to have lived. And check this, there is records of a woman named Nicolina from the 1960s who claims that a Zmey fell in love with her, and there is people still alive today who knew her and who claim that this is true. This just illustrates how strong the image and the idea of the Zmey is. To show you how to put this into practice in your world building, I'm going to use as an example a text very close to my heart. An adventure that me and a bunch of friends in Yellow Madhouse created together called The Devil's Bridge, which you can download for free from the link below. These lands were once ruled by a giant the people called Whirlwind, for his fierce temper and booming voice, until a hero riding on the back of a three-headed Zmey battled and defeated the giant. It is said that the body of the dead Colossus became part of the land and gave it its name. The giant slayer, Ivan the Brave, was heir to the lands and established his kingdom here. He raised 3 daughters who inherited his rule. Today, Whirlwind is an enormous economical and military power in Rodozem. The 3 sisters, united with their resolve, have turned the land into a prosperous queendom to be reckoned with. The 3 sisters are often compared to the 3 heads of a Zmey because of their power, determination and strength, the way that they work together to achieve one goal, and the way that they protect the land of Whirlwind.
So how about we tell them about some hooks that they can use? A prominent but reclusive and bookish wizard has sent the party off to retrieve a magical artifact of immense importance. Guess why he didn't go himself? Because the artifact is a part of a dragon's hoard. The party needs to venture deep down in the bosom of the mountain to retrieve it. And by this point, they probably imagine rivers of lava, heaps of gold and treasure, and a big old dragon sleeping over it. But instead, they venture down in the lands underland, remember, and they find a magnificent city where we have a draconic sovereign, the Zmey, who reigns over a prosperous and peaceful society of magical beasts and critters and so-called monsters. Turns out the Zmey is a pretty chill guy. Soon after meeting him, the party starts to understand that perhaps their patron was not of the purest of intent. Perhaps the artifact is an integral part of the city defenses, or is a family heirloom passed down from father Zmey to mother Zmey, child Zmey, to sister and brother and whatnot. Or perhaps he simply doesn't want to give it to a random human. Anyhow, your party is now faced with a choice, which side they stand on. And bonus points if you want to spice it up. Let's say that the land beneath the land is a magical realm outside of mortal realms. Naturally, as you all know by now, I see all of you who've been to the Feywild, these different realms have time dilation. So maybe the party stayed for a couple of days and that was way longer in the mortal plane. And the wizard has sent another party over to do his dirty work. Maybe a slightly more morally ambiguous party, or ones who just care about money, not about prosperous magical beast societies. Two neighboring kingdoms who live harmoniously in peace under the protection of two draconic brothers, two Zmeys. What can go wrong? Well, one day something does go wrong, and the two Zmeys start fighting ceaselessly in the skies above their people. The two cities are suffering, peace is broken, endless flashes of fire in the sky, doom is nigh. This is where your beautiful troop of adventurers comes in. They're the ones who need to resolve the conflict between the two brothers and bring peace once more upon the land. They unravel a spiral of political intrigue that brings them down to the culprit, a power-hungry, corrupt noble who wants discord among the two courts so that he can do the plain old simple divide and conquer. A little side note for you to spice it up. If your party starts biting on one side of the rumors particularly more than the other, just maybe feed it more and see where that leads them. Lead them down a wild goose chase and see how they will hate your villain even more when they find out that they've been lied to this whole time. This one is for the ones who like the more in media res approach in the action-fueled scenes.
What does in media res mean?
In media res, when you drop the players in the middle of action.
Okay.
It's a term in Latin, actually. An evening's delights are interrupted by a dark, unnaturally colossal storm that starts rolling down upon the city. However, the people around don't seem to be that bothered. Their spiritual leader steps forward with a sly smile on her face and says that there's nothing her father can't take care of. Turns out, she is, do you remember one of those Zmey children we talked about earlier? Yep, she's precisely one of those. As soon as she says that, you see a fiery figure just coming towards the sky as the Zmey clashes with the evil Hala that brings upon the hailstorm. At this point, the Zmey's daughter turns around and says, "Something's not right." All the flames and fires and lights are extinguished. The city is covered in darkness as you see a hideous blow from the skies and a comet falling down, extinguished. The Zmey is no more. The spiritual leader falls down to her knees and says, "I must finish that." As her fiery spirit leaves her body to fly up and fight the impending darkness, her body falls in front of you helpless. Creatures of shadow, minions of the Hala above, start invading the city. Your adventurers are the only ones who can protect the helpless body of the single person who's got a chance against this immense evil. So essentially, what we're doing here is waves and waves of whatever creatures your sick fantasy can muster, draconic or shadow or necromantic, whatever your flavor is. Bring them to the players and make them feel the pain. All of this happens in the backdrop of a massive and epic fight of light and shadow, a spectacle of good versus evil. Having heard all three stories, you probably came to the same conclusion. You don't need specific statistics for these monster encounters, or you're not bound by any levels of any kind. They can be as fun for a third level party, and they can face a much more mundane threat while the big things are happening in the background, or you can just drop the big guns and let the 20th level party do the fight of their lives. Let me tell you a little secret. We, behind the scenes, are starting to develop a few more of those creatures. Perhaps the Zmey is one of those. And very, very soon, you might be in for a treat. If any of this rings true to you and you like what we do here, keep an eye on this space.
That's it from us for today. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Genie D and Pointy Hat, for starting this event. It's been an absolute blast. If you want more dragon-related content to add to your ever-growing hoard of knowledge, check out the playlist down below. There's a lot of amazing creators who have joined Monster Week.
It's full of amazing ideas and twists of all sorts.
And if you like what we do, the links are down below.
You know the drill.
You know the drill. Keep adventuring and
see you soon.
see you soon.